Hi everybody. So today we will be going through a component in .NET called hangfire, which is developed by Sergey, this person. Okay, and the main specialty of this tool is it's very easy to configure and it can support multiple storage media. So we'll be going through this tool in detail, how to configure it in .NET application, and this also support .NET Core applications. So I'll not be covering that particular topic here. I'll be using a console application as the server, and I'll be queuing a job from a Windows application. And the main specialty of this tool is this has a beautiful dashboard which is displayed here, where in which you can see the background job which is queued from the application. So what is the status of it, everything we can see there. And suppose the job is failed, we can even re-enqueue the job. And also there are multiple ways of we can queue a job in this particular tool, I mean component. Fire and forget, delay jobs, and recurring job, and continuation batches, and batch continue. This component is completely free, and it's for free for commercial use. And if you, there are some pro component like batches and batch continues. If we want this feature, we need to pay for it. But other than that, these two components which we are going to talk about it, it's completely free. Let us get into the before starting into the coding, let us get into the basic architecture of hangfire, how it is built, and how the real job is getting queued, and what are the basic components of hangfire. So hangfire having a client which will be queuing the job. Uh, this client can be a Windows application or a web application, or in a Windows service even. Okay, and I can have a server which is responsible for processing the job. Okay, which is queued from here. So in order to maintain the state, we are having a media here, the job, I mean the storage. Uh, right now we are using SQL Server, but hangfire support MySQL and Redis, so many other medias which is supported by hangfire. Basically how it works is like client queues a job that will get stored in the SQL Server, and the server which will be pinging to the server, MySQL server, every 15 seconds. This is the poll period. Okay, it is by default time period I'm talking about. It will be pinging. If there is a new job which is available in the SQL server, it will be picked, and it will be processed by the server. This is the in general the way it works. So it will be picked by the server here, and it will be processed and updated the status back. So it's a like kind of fire and forget kind of thing. Okay. So let us get into that how it is done in .NET. So in order to do that, in hangfire server, we need to have a IOC container. So we'll be using an IOC container which is there in the hangfire server. Okay, and so this IOC container can be of Autofac or Unity or anything, but it should be existing. Okay, so what is the use of this IOC container? This IOC container will help us to communicate between the client and server. So how it works, I will tell you. So let us talk about one background task which need to be queued and processed. So assume that that background task is located in my job. This is the class, and I'm having an interface called iJob. Okay, so that is inherited by this class, this class iJob. Okay, it is inherited here and it is implemented here. So I'll be having an invoke method here. Okay, I'll be having an invoke method. So we will be having the implementation of the background job inside this invoke method. So now till now, if I describe what I described is like I'm having a class and I'm having an interface, right? So so what we are going to do here is like this interface will be in a assembly, separate assembly DLL assembly, and this class will be in another assembly. Okay, it's clear. So this is that means there are two DLLs. One is the assembly, which one assembly will talk about the complete implementation of the job. Another assembly will have the interface which is implemented by the that particular job. Okay, okay. So now let me get into the IOC part. So what we are going to do is we are going to create the object of this my job of type iJob interface. Okay, and it will be registered inside the container. So I'll be having a type called iJob, which is there inside the IOC container. Okay, so if anybody requests for an iJob type object, I'll be getting the object of this my job from this IOC container. Okay, so when client is invoking a job, what it is going to do is like in hangfire we are having some specific special classes called background job, and I'll be passing generics here iJob interface. It's a dot q. Okay, in the q method I'm just writing the q method here. I'll be writing a C# expression. So as I'm passing the type as iJob here, so what is there in this interface, I can access it is here as an expression. So C equal to C invoke, I'll be writing. Okay, so I'll be doing like this. Okay, so what hangfire is going to do is it will take this expression and it will decipher it. So what is the C here? This is of type iJob. Okay, and we are having a method which is invoking it in the my job class or it, wherever it is implemented. Okay, so it will go and store it in the database saying that some client called some client queued me a job which is having an iJob interface, and he's invoking, or he is sure he is invoking a method called invoke, and it is registered in the database. Okay, and our server will be pinging to every 15 seconds to the SQL server or whatever the database we are having, will be pinging here. As soon as it gets a job which is queued or in queue, it will pick that and it will try to understand what is the type of object I need to invoke. Okay, and what method to be invoked in that based by using this expression, which is already it is serialized here, and it will check this type inside the IOC container. So I'll be having a type here. I'll pick up the type and I'll just invoke that particular method. So and it will be processed, and once it is processed it will update the status. So this is the basic architecture of hangfire, how it works. So it, as I told you previously, there is also a dashboard. So what that dashboard does is like it's a view of this particular database. I can see the activity which is happening in this database. So it is a dashboard. Okay, it's a web application. So basically, it can be hosted in the client itself, or it can be hosted as a separate web application. There are times in which client can be Windows based. At that time, we can't host it this there. So basically, we will be creating a separate web application as a dashboard, and we can host it here. The only important thing which we need to follow while creating this dashboard is like As I told you, I am having an iJob interface. Okay, this interface DLL should be added as a reference here. Otherwise, it will not be able to understand what is the type which is there in this database. Okay, so this is the important thing which I need to explain in here. Okay, this is the basic way. Let us. I think I hope you guys understood what is the basic architecture of Ampere. Let us get into the code. Before that, let me show you some of the prerequisites for this. So, server required hangfire core and hangfire SQL server and Unity packages. These are the three NuGet package we required in server. Okay, and it is not mandatory that you need to use Unity. You can use other IOC containers. And the client you only required if suppose if you want to run uh, both hangfire I mean the queuing system as well as the dashboard both together, then you need to install the hangfire NuGet package. Otherwise you only required these two again, only these two. You don't require Unity from the client side. Okay, and it supports SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, and Redis. These are the different storages it has. It is supported right now, and it's also it supports the MySQL queuing mechanism with RabbitMQ. So it's also it's outside the scope of this particular discussion, so I'll not be getting into that. So let us open the Visual Studio and start coding. Okay, okay. Uh, Initially, I will be creating a simple console application. Okay, which I can call it as okay. It can call it as server. Okay, I'll just call it as my server. Okay, fine. So I'm using .NET 4.6.2 and I'm creating a console application. It can be a Windows service also. It can be a web application also. It is not mandatory. It should be a console application. Okay, it's a server. I'm going to start the server right now. I'm going to create a server. Okay, so I'm going to do it here. Okay, so let us start this. Hmm. So I have the console application here. Okay, let me save this solution outside. It's better to save it outside. Okay, okay, okay. I'll just save it until we open it. It's for just okay. Uh, okay. Mhm. So this is my server. Okay, okay. As I explained you in this prerequisites, I need to have the hangfire core and hangfire server reference in order to start the server. So I'm going to add those two references. Okay, this is the hangfire core. It's correct. I'm going to install this. So it is having a dependency on Newton.json 5. You can even upgrade to the latest version. It will be by default. It will have the 5 dependency. And Ovin, by default it uses Ovin, Open Web Interface for .NET. So you can change it to it. I think it even supports .NET Core, ASP.NET Core, all those things, and it has dependency on the Ampere Core as when we installing Ampere Core itself. Okay, I'm installing it. So as I told you, I can upgrade the Newton JSON here. I'm just upgrading. Okay, so I install the hangfire main package. It's a hangfire core package. So this will have all the server related information, everything, all the how to start a server, everything. Now, as I'm using SQL Server as my storage media, I need to add a reference to the hangfire.sql server. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So you can see here it supports so many other things. I'll just show you. Okay, yeah, it supports. There are so many plugins available for this. MySQL Core. It supports Postgres. So it supports. You can have SQL, MySQL also. It supports. So right now I'm using SQL Server. Okay, I'm going to install that. So it is installed successfully. Okay, okay. The next thing is Unity container. So it's basically IOC container, which I'm using it in this project, which I'm much more familiar. You can use any container which you are familiar with. So I'm using Unity 5, 5.8.6. So I'm just installing this. It's just a preference. It's not like you need to use this itself. Okay, okay, okay. I just installed the Unity container here. Okay, so all the related things are installed for I mean all the component which is required for my project is installed. So if you go to the here, you can have all the packages because solution is where the package will exist there. Okay, okay, fine. Now I'm going to add certain server component. Okay, so as I explained you here, I need to create an IOC container. Okay, so I'm going to do that part right now. So in order to start the IOC container, you need to use this code. Okay, before that, we need to have certain configuration in our config files. So I'm going to show you that part. So okay, so I will just show you. I'm going to add. I have already an app setting. Okay, so here I'm going to add this. So basically, I'm adding a new session called Unity in my app config. So I mean I can use it like this. So I can use on a Unity kind of session. So after that, I'm going to load a unity.config, a separate config file, which I'm going to create it outside. Okay. So here I'm going to create it. I'm going to create the config file. Okay. Click add. It's there. Okay. For temporary, I'm just adding one set of Unity configuration. This will be overwritten by after finishing over all the things. Okay. Okay. So I just set up the Unity. So I'll be modifying this session because I don't have any of this interfaces or any of these classes available right now. So let me explain you what I did it. So in app config, I added a new session called Unity, and which is referring from the Unity DLL. And I created a Unity element, and I told to the program there is a Unity config file available in the project. So it's here. Okay, and inside that we will be setting our IOC container installation. In the sense, what are the component which need to be added inside the IOC? I mean, which need to be loaded as an object. Need to be added inside the IOC. I'll be specifying here. Okay, I mean the container. Okay, so I'm added everything here. So I added the app config. So one important thing which we should not forget is like we need to make this session enable, copy to output path, otherwise it will not be there in your bin directory. Okay, so you should not forget this. Okay, it will give you some strange errors if you don't do that. Okay, fine. Now I added the app config, unity config, everything is there here. Okay, so it's done. Now let us create our interface, which need to be, as I told you in the diagram, I need to create one iJob interface, which is a DLL. Okay, so I'm going to say call it as small. I'll add it here only. New project. It's class library, and I'll be adding inside the server. So job dot interface. I'm creating a name. Okay, job interface. Okay, so I'll just click OK. It's a class library. Click add. Okay, now I need to give a name for this. So I'll just call this iJob. iJob. Okay, okay. So it's of type interface. Okay, I added a creator, and I'm going to add a method called invoke inside the iJob interface. Okay, this is my iJob interface. Now I have an interface. Now I need to do my task. I mean my background task implementation. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to create another DLL. It's a class library. Okay, and I'm going to say it as my task. Okay, this will be the one which will do the actual activity when I request from the client. Okay, so my task, I'm just adding that also as a class library. Okay, and I will say here I'll call it as my activity. Okay, fine. So I'm creating a constructor, and basically I'm going to add this interface in this my activity. Okay, so you need to add a reference of iJob interface. Okay, job. Okay, okay. Basically, I need to add a reference to that job interface in my project. So I added it. Okay, I'm implementing it. So what I did now is like I created a my task DLL. Okay, and I added the reference of this job in the my task. You can see it here. So now I'll be having an activity. I mean, I'll be doing my background activity here. I'll assume that this is my biggest activity, which I need to queue from the client. So queued at 10 0. Okay, okay, okay. This is my biggest task. Okay, so now I have the job interface and I have the all the required things. I can queue. I mean, I can register these two things in my Unity config. So I'm going to do that. See it here. So you need to carefully see what I'm doing here. So I need to tell here my interface, and basically the first one is the complete interface information. So you need to copy this. Okay, uh, here it's iJob. Okay, now you need to give the assembly name. So basically you can get the assembly name from here. Sometimes you may have the same name as the CS, I mean CS project, but just for safety. Okay, we can give it here. Okay, so I have my so basically inside that I will tell what are the types which I need to hold it in my Unity container. So this is the now here this is another types. So I am telling that I have an iJob type which need to be type which need to be there in the Unity container. Okay, now I'm going to say here one more which is of type my activity which is from my task. Okay, I'm going to configure that. Okay, so just put here my task. Okay, okay, my task dot where is that? Okay, it's here. Okay, okay. So I need to give the assembly name of this my task. So I'm going to take the property of it, copy the assembly name. So this is the assembly name. So if you see carefully here, what I did is, oops, okay, okay. So this job interface, this is assembly, and this, I mean, the job.interface.ijob, that's the interface name, and this is the task which need to be executed. So I have it here. My task has the name, and I have my activity, so that's a class name, so it is inside the namespace my task. So the assembly name is this. Now I need to link these two to create an object. So I will tell here I want iJob. I want a object of type iJob that should be from this class. And here this tells about the container control lifetime. It's somewhat similar to singleton. It's for that container that only one object will be created. Of means this my activity object will be created only once. That's the meaning of it. Okay. So I done all the configuration of my Unity container. So let us load this Unity container in our application. Okay. So in order to do that, I need to basically use this code. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Copy this. I'm going to paste it here. Okay. I just need to change my references. So we can see here I need to add a reference to system.configuration. I'm just adding it, so I'm importing it, so all the references are resolved. Okay, so oh, I missed one packet. Okay, so I'm just going to create the container. Okay, so I created a container. So let us see it is working fine or not. So just write a console.read key. Hmm. Oh yeah, it's because of I told to the Unity container, uh, please take this assembly, these two assembly, and that I have this two interface, in this interface and this class. But those two information is not present here anywhere. So there are two ways to solve this. One is copy these two DLL and put in this my server, which is my hangfire server, or we can directly add references. So whenever you modify anything in here, it will come here. So just for to understand, I'll be just I'll not be doing the reference here. I'll be just copying the DLL and pasting it here. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm copying these two DLLs. Copy. I'm going to paste it inside this bin directory. Okay. So I added the job interface. Now I need to add the task, which is executing background. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Copy that. Copying here, and I'm putting it in my server. Okay, okay, I added it. Now let us start again the Unity container. Okay, it's good. So the container is created successfully. So we have the IOC container. We are already done with this much activity. We created the IOC container. Now we need to create a server. So to create a server, we need to use this code. Okay, so I'm just inputting that. Okay, so this is the location of the, as I told you, it uses a database. This is a database. So this database path I'm giving it here. I'm hard coding it here. Basically, we need to read it from the configuration file. So here dot means same server, and I'm creating a database called hangfire, and it is using my Windows authentication. Okay, and you can see here one session called Unity Job Activator. Basically, what it is going to do is it is telling to the hangfire, I have a Unity container here. Please take this Unity container inside the hangfire. So whenever someone is queuing a job here, when it gets the type, it need to look for the object. So where to look for the object, that's what. So I'm passing the container here, you see here I'm passing the IOC Unity container. So it's of type this Unity container has an interface called I think it's having an interface. How do I go inside this? Okay, yeah, see a Unity container. So basically this is the one. So I'll be passing this container inside, I mean this variable inside the initialize hangfire, and I'm telling to the, so take this Unity container which I am loaded from the Unity config, and use it for whenever you get a job, I mean you need to execute a job. Okay, so I'm going to create this link actually. So I need to for to link between the container and the server, you need to use this particular line. So this particular line will change according to the type of IOC you are using. If it artifact, it will be a little bit different. So I'm using it Unity. So this is the way you need to do it in Unity. So I'm just creating a class. Okay, the class name is Unity Activator. Okay, and I'm going to copy paste the code which I have it here. So just copy paste the code here. That's it. I'm just okay. Let me use this. Use import. So all the errors are solved. So now no errors. Yeah. So if you see here, mm, once the, so I'll be calling this method after the IOC creation, and I'll be passing the container. As I told you, I'll be giving this container to the hangfire. Okay, I'm giving to the hangfire. Hangfire receive that container here, and I am telling to hangfire this is the location of the database which you need to ping every 15 seconds, and you need to use this container for any job creation. So you also have some more settings called auto retry. Suppose when we are executing a job, there are chances like due to some issue the job can fail here, some reason. Might be the connectivity is not good or something like that. It is connecting to some other web service or something like that. So we can make saying that like let it try for 3 times or 4 times. It's automatic retry. By default, the retry is of 10, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I think by default, I think yeah, I think it is 10. Okay, right now I'm setting it as 5 here. So to control that particular auto retry, you need to use this filter. So you can configure it here. Okay, so once everything is done, I'm just starting the background server here. That's it. Only this much you need to do, start a server. You don't need to do any server.start or anything like that. So you also have some options here if you want to. It accepts a background job server options. I'm not going to use that right now. It is basically for to configure your server. Uh, so this is just a basic introduction to Ankfire. I will not be covering that part here. So if I'm running it here, it will throw error because I don't have a database called Ankfire. Okay, I'm going to create that database. So it won't create a database. Okay, so I'm going to create here database. Okay, okay, I'm having a different drive. I'm not using C drive, So I'll be moving the MDF and LDF to a different location. Okay, so I'm going to create something called hangfire dot MDF uh, hangfire dot LDF. Okay, I think this is the one. Okay, okay, I need to give a name. Hangfire. Okay, I'm just creating it. Okay, I think it's good to go. Okay, this location is fine. Yep, click OK. So it's created a database called hangfire, and you don't have any tables in this. So when I'm starting the server, it will connect to the server and it looks for this database. So it uses what it does is like it creates all the required tables automatically. You don't need to create it yourself. So I'll show you now. If everything is fine, it will start the hangfire server. Okay, so I'm having a read line here. Okay, so I have the Unity container loaded. I have the container. I have the retry. Everything is good, and I have the. So what all I did it? Okay, I have the Unity server. Yep, I think it should run. Let's see now. Okay, the server is started. Now, if you see it in the database, previously we did not had any tables. Let me refresh it here. So you'll see, it is created all the Hamfare related tables using a schema called Hamfare. So it's also created a schema. Okay, so you can see it here, Hamfare. Yeah, it's created a schema here. Okay, and this database uses Windows authentication, because you can see it here. Okay, so server is started, server is running. Okay, now the next part is done the client, which queues the job. Okay, so as I told you, the client only required to know an interface, which is only the this interface. So this type will be passed to the through the database, serialized to the database, and it will be creating the object from it. It will be taking the object from the Unity container, and it just invoke the job in the hangfire server. Okay, I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to create a client now, which is of type a Windows application. Since I'm doing it, it can be a web application also. Okay, so let me create a project. Okay, I'm going to create it under uh, E drive. Okay, I'll call this as okay client. Okay, and I will just call it as okay under client folder. Okay, okay, I'm creating it as a Windows form. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. Okay, okay. So for client, we only required the interface. So I'm going to add a reference to the interface project. So I'm going to take here. So E drive demo server, my only interface I want it. Okay, I'm going to add reference to that interface here. That's all. I don't have any implementation of how it is going to execute. Okay, that's it. So and also I referred here. It required the if it is a web application, I mean, if you are going to run the dashboard, you require reference of Ampere. But if you required only the, I think it required this also. Yeah, sorry, it only required the Ampere because it internally have a reference of skill server. So if it is a web application and you want to run the dashboard also, you need to install this Ampere. Uh, Ampere DLL. So what it does is like it also you can also start the dashboard. So in the client here you can start the dashboard also. But right now I created a Windows based application. dashboard is a web application, so I may not be able to run my dashboard here. So I'll be just what I'll be doing is I'll be just only queuing a job here, and I'll create another application to see the dashboard results. Okay, fine. So I'm going to do that. So I added the reference of the job, and I'll be using only here the reference is like hangfire core and SQL server, because I need to, the client required to know how to queue a job and where to put the job. So hangfire dot core, this will have the implementation how to queue a job. I'm going to install, so it will install. It's having a direct dependency on Ovin. We can remove this. So only the Ovin, but Ovin, if you open the DLNC, it's just one interface. We don't need to, we'll not have anything else in that. Okay, I'm just updating the notification. Okay, so I have the hangfire core and I need to connect to database. So to connect to database, I need to have hangfire SQL. So I'm going to install that also. Okay, install. Okay, so I'll be going to the form load. Okay, and I'll be adding two things. One is one button and one label. So let me search as label. Okay, it's here. Okay, the two things I'll be adding here, and I'll double click the button. Okay, so in the load, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a code for connecting to the database. This is the code which will help me to connect. Okay, okay, here it is there. Just need to add all the references. Okay, I just need to remove this, copy paste issue. Okay, okay. So I told to connect to this database. Now next one thing what I need to do is uh, I need to queue a job. So for that I need to use a specific method from hangfire. So so to show that I need to show you certain things. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, I need to write here background job. Okay, I'm using resharp, so it's just doing it. So background job dot queue. So you see here it accepts a interface. If I go inside that, you can understand. I'll go there and queue. See, it accepts an interface. Okay, I'm going to use this. Okay, so which interface I'm going to use is iJob. So I only know about it. So job interface, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to write a expression, C# expression here. So job to job dot invoke. That's it. If you want to pass any argument, you can pass inside this. Okay, that's it. That's all I will do it. So just I will put one label assignment. I will tell you why this is required. Okay, so my job is successfully queued. I mean the code is written, not queued. Okay, so let me show you here. If you are seeing that side, they were talking about fire and forget. That's what I written here now. And there is something called background job dot schedule. It means like I want to invoke a certain method inside the interface after some days or some second. It's a delay job. It will only get invoked only once. Okay, recurring job in the sense I can say like I need to run this job every time on a particular time. That is what we are going to say here. So it will be just scheduled and kept it. It's a schedule kind of thing. It's like Windows scheduler kind of thing. Okay, that's a recurring job. So basically we can pass a cron expression here. So what is cron expression is like, it's a simple scheduling expression you can which will help you to pass all the time, what time, all those information. Okay, It looks something like this. Let me see. I can show you something from internet. It's Yeah, it's like this. So you'll be having all the information. So it will be like this. So there are some utilities they are giving it directly, so you can use that to write this, but we are not going to do this. We are only going to do fire and forget. Left out everything, once you know fire and forget, left out all the thing is very easy to do it. And the next one is continuation. In continuation, what is this is like you are queued a job, and so what this enqueue return is a job ID. So if this job ID sucks, I can say that I can after the next line you can say background job dot continue with if this job ID succeeded, queue another job. That's what this continuation. So if it is succeeded, this job ID succeeded only, it will get executed this. So it's called continuation. Okay, fine. So other things are pro features I will not be covering in this session. So I done with all the client part, and my server is running. Okay, server started. So I'm going to show you how it is getting queued. Okay, and I'll even show you where it is there. So you seen here there is a 15-second polling time. Okay, it takes 15 seconds. So let us see. So no job. Okay, it's there. Queue job. Okay, I added the interface here. Okay, it's only job interface. Let me start this. Okay, so I will keep this also running here. This is my server. This is my client. So I'm going to click a button. So it is queued at 10:56. 18. You can see there is a, because I wrote inside that interface console.write line queue at 6. You can see it is almost. I think it's very fast. Yeah, it's almost 15 seconds. I mean, it's. I mean, might be. It was. It was not at the starting, so it's skewed very fast. So let me see one more. Okay. Yeah. So we have. Yeah. It's there is a pulp time of 15 seconds, so you know to exactly see that actually. So it will take 15 seconds. So there will be a little delay on that 15 second. You can use RabbitMQ instead of queuing polling to a queue table in the database. It's a very nice, so it will be much more faster. So it will have Bankfair server will be picking it very fast. So this is the way it works. The queuing mechanism works, and it is getting executed. So the job, I mean, the task which I have written was, I mean, when you're queuing and executing this one, this was my task. So queue at I'm written, and you see here I did not add any in the client. I did not had any implementation. I only had an interface. Okay, I just had an interface. Okay, so now let us understand how we can able to monitor this. So how do we configure a dashboard? So in normal case, what we do is like we will configure this client as well as the dashboard in one place if it is a web application, or we can even run this all thing together in a web application. In the sense we can have a client as well as server everything. So it will be running. So it will control the IAS recycle and all. The back. I mean, hangfire has that facility to not to recycle those objects. So you can run everything together inside IAS, or you can have client as a web application, dashboard also we can run it here, run it in the same place, and server as a Windows service. It's located in some different server. Okay, different environment altogether. Okay, and all the environment should have connectivity to the database. Okay, let me start the dashboard part. Just okay. So in order to create a dashboard, I'm trying to create a web application, which is an empty web application. So go inside demo. Okay, Okay, I'm just clicking OK. So I just want only an empty site. I don't want anything. Okay. In real case, you may have some code in your real application. So I have a simple web application here, which is an empty web application. So I'm going to just add one class called startup. This is for Ovin. I'll be configuring through Ovin. Okay, and I will just copy paste this code. Where is my code? Okay, okay, this code. I'll explain you what is this. Okay, and I'll be adding. So for a client, I mean for the dashboard, I require to add reference to dashboard. Till now, I was playing always with hangfire core. Okay, so I'll be using here hangfire, which allow all the references: hangfire core, SQL Server, and hangfire itself. Okay, so I'm going to do that. His name is there here. He's the one who developed this. Okay. Okay, it has all the references. Okay, click OK. I accept the license. Okay, it gives some quick start here. You can use this even. Okay, and you can see some code for .NET ASP.NET Core. I'm not using it. I'm using Ovin here. You can even use this, even if you want to use in .NET Core applications. Okay, it's a readme file .text which is coming with whenever you add references. Okay, so I will just import this DLL and it's done. Okay, now I'm using Ovin, so you need to tell Ovin this is my startup class. Okay, so for that we need to register some attribute. So the attribute is this. I'm going to just copy paste this. So okay, you need to put outside the namespace, just import. So I'm just telling Ovin, please start this class, and this configuration session will be executed as soon as this Ovin startup get executed. Okay, inside the class this configuration session. So it is like a main method, you can say. It's get it executed. Okay, so that's all we need to do here, and it will start the dashboard. Okay, I will explain you what I written here and I commented and kept it. Okay, so okay, I think I have some update available in my NuGet package. Okay, there are so many. I'll do it later. Okay, let me run this. Okay, I have the server still running. I have my client. Okay, I'm going to start my dashboard. Okay, by default it uses a, this is the URL of the hangfire by default, and it runs under localhost. You see that this thing I'll explain you. So you can see this is the dashboard of hangfire. I queued two jobs so you can see the progress here. I mean the day, week, everything, all those graphs. And these are the list of jobs. So in queue, so when you queue the job, it comes in queue, then it goes to processing, then succeeded, failed. If you delete it, it will get deleted here. Okay, and We have some as I told you, we have some retry mechanism, so it comes and sit here if you have some retries. So recurring job, as I told you here, we can configure some recurring jobs, so that will come and sit in the recurring job session, and it will get you the server which is running. So you can see my server name is Vipin Dev PC. If it is in another system, that system name will be picked up here. You can even configure this name. That's in the as I told you, in the background server constructor, we can pass some arguments. Initially, I told you. So even we can change that here. You can change here if you want to change that name. Okay. Okay, let me go to the server. So here you can see something called heartbeat. Okay. Okay. What happened to my server? Yeah, it's good. Okay. So heartbeat is something like it's a meaning says heartbeat. If the server is dead or not. Okay. If the heartbeat is few seconds means the server is still running. If the heartbeat is like in minutes means something happened to your server. It is not running. Okay. The queues are like you can create multiple queues. Suppose you can have multiple servers in your infrastructure, and you can queue the job to different queues. Right now it is all default. You can queue to different queues, so it'll run in the different servers. That's what the queue means. Okay, let me see the job which was queued. You see here something like can't can't find the target method. So it's nice to see this error. So everybody can, I mean, anyone can make this mistake. So here what is happening is it is not able to understand the interface name. So basically I need to add the reference of that interface here. So then only it will get resolved. Okay, I'll show you. So as I told you in the dashboard also we require that. So I'm going to add a reference to that interface, not the implementation. Okay, I'm going to add that project. This new project. Okay. Only the interface, see that. Okay, I'm going to add reference here to the job interface. Okay, start again. See here, now it is showing me the actual what was the interface which and method it is invoked. Because if you don't have that information, if you don't if you are not adding that interface, it's saying I'm not able to identify. It's using reflection here actually to identify this method. So you can see here what happened to that and what time it succeeded. So what was the culture used 11 minute and how much was the time lag. So see, I showed you 3 second within how many seconds it is picked up. So 8 seconds it is that all information it gives you. Now let me show you the serialization part of it. So you can see that one in the job table. So first what will happen whenever you enqueue the job, it will come and sit in the job queue. This job queue can be a database or it can be a RabbitMQ. So if it is a database, there is a 15-second lag. If you want, if you are using RabbitMQ, you can avoid that. Instead of the job sits here, it gets sits in the RabbitMQ, and hangfire will ping to the RabbitMQ. I mean, it gets an event, and you don't need to have any ping. It is like a subscriber, publish subscriber mechanism. So it will be taking the things from the RabbitMQ, and it creates a job in the job table. Okay. So I'll open the job which was created. I just want to explain you what is it doing. So basically it is a state machine here. So you can see here different states. So I don't want to get into the more detail of it. So see here. So you can see here it serializes the entire thing. So what it is doing is it is taking this my client, this particular expression. It's an expression, C sharp expression. Okay, what do you mean by C sharp expression? Let me call it C sharp expression. Okay, this is the one. So this is called C sharp expression, and you can pass it in the expressions like this. I don't think so you have any examples here. Okay, these are kind of expressions. So, yeah, I saw it here. Yeah, this is expression. You can write this expression in C sharp. So somewhat I also written an expression here. In the client, this is my expression, so it will be taken into one see, you can see here, I'm using system.link.expression. It will be taken here, so that expression will be taken here. So I can use expression dot what was the this type, and I can say what was the method name in the expression. So those all other things it is getting, and it is serializing into the database here. You can see that or C or job object is of type job interface, and it is there in this assembly, and our version this culture is neutral, and what was the method I am trying to invoke, that also it will be there here. So this is the method and what parameter it is accepting. So this all information we can get from the C sharp expression. Okay, I mean what are this is what are the type, this is the type of, I mean what are the argument it accepts, and what is the type of it, an argument name, and that argument in, I mean data in detail here, it will be there here. So that is, so each job will have one entry here. Whenever you queue a job, it will be having it an entry here. Okay, so as I told you, I have some, I mean, code here. I mean, commented code here. So one part is like we can only if you are only doing only this much. Okay, we can only open this dashboard where you have the website. I mean, dashboard hosted. I mean, you can't open this dashboard from anywhere else, any other system. I can only open it in the local host. So it's a security feature available in hangfire. You need to give the authorization. So, as I told you, this dashboard can be integrated with any application. So it can use the security feature of that particular application. Means like once you log into the application only, you can access the hangfire. You can give a link in that application, so it will redirect to this particular URL. You can enable this back button also. It go back to the particular place, like you can see a back button. So to enable the authorization, we have some option here. That's what it is. So I'm going to show you that. So come into this. So this is the one. Okay, I'm going to, so you need to implement this class. Okay, I'm going to generate a class. This is a class. Okay, in this class I need to have this particular implementation. Okay, going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, okay, this is only required if you want to enable authorization. So basically we'll be using this particular commented code. I'll just enable it. So if the application is authenticated, you'll be having this is authenticated will be true, then only allow to access the unfair URL. So even we can instead of by default we are trying not typing hangfire. If you want to call it as jobs, you can call it as slash jobs. You can customize it here. Okay, and right now I don't have anything like that, so I'm just by default saying return true. If you do this, what will happen is like you can access that URL from anywhere else, but remember one thing, you'll not have any security on top of it. It's like anonymous access. You can access it without any username password. So otherwise you will not be able to access it. It will show just a blank page. Okay, I'm just giving the default. Okay, so I'm just running the same. There's no difference between the previous one and the current one. Okay, so it's there here. So I think this will refresh some refresh setting also there in this. You can see which database it is connecting, and it will show you the server it is connecting and the time of refresh, everything here, and the recurring job server, and how many number of workers we can run in this particular server, Hangzhou server. Okay, this all thing we can configure it at the constructor of the server. Okay, I hope this will be useful for you guys. One more thing is also there called retention policy. You can see that one in their side. It means what is retention policy in the sense, as I told you, every time when we queue a job, it creates a entry in this database, right? So we require to clean up that, okay? And even it has a state machine here. So you have a state table here, and it will be created here also. So we can enable a retention policy. What it does is like we can say like every 5 days, after 5 days, I want to clean up this particular tables. We can do that. I think can get it in the site itself. Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me get into their site. Okay. Yeah, this is the one. So you need to use this job filter. Then you need to use this, and we can do the logic inside that. And how I register the retry filter, the same way we can register it here. Okay. So this is the code. Okay. So it will automatically clean up the job. It's a very beautiful feature available in hangfire. Okay. And one more important thing is like for example, uh, assume that I'm queuing a job, I mean queuing something from here, and the server is not there. Okay, server is went down. It's not there. Okay, I am queuing it. Okay, I'm going to queue it now. Okay, you don't need to worry. When the server is coming up, it will get processed. So that's the way should work. It should work now. Yeah, it's processed. So you don't need to worry the same. So also the same way, assume that there are 20 jobs are queued to the hangfire server, and one was processing, and meanwhile it got crashed. So when it restarted and coming, it will start reprocessing again. So that's the way hangfire server work. So I hope this session is very useful for the people. It's a very beautiful tool, I mean component which you can use it in your project, and it has some pricing model also open. It can be used in commercial use, so it uses LGPL 3.0, and there are some business, I mean startup business, all those things also. It's a very useful tool, and they have very well documentation on their site also, and the same diagram which I explained. Okay, so it's a very nice tool. I will try on this. Okay, thanks for watching my tutorial. Have a nice day.